Welcome back to another episode of Le Bon Vie Champagne TV. Every month we focus on a new topic of learning relating to champagne. And this month we're honing in on a particular grape varietal. A grape varietal that really does play second fiddle to the other varietals grown within the appellation. This is the Meunier grape. The holy trinity of grapes grown within the region of Champagne are the Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, red, and Pinot Meunier, red grape. There are some other rarer varietals that are planted within the appellation, but most of the big players focus in on these three grapes. But the two noble grapes traditionally are recognised as the king and the queen, or the Pinot Noir and the Chardonnay. And Meunier traditionally has been known as the grape that adds a fullness, adds a fruitiness to a young champagne, but is generally not considered worthy enough for inclusion in a vintage champagne. This is due to its quick ripening and its inability to age well in the longer term. But it seems that yet again, the norms of champagne are being broken, and once again, this experimentation is happening within the grower-producer sector. They have a little bit more liberty and a bit more freedom for producing wines that do not conform to big market demands. And there are a handful of producers putting the Meunier grape back up on the pedestal, highlighting this grape in their champagnes, and in some cases making 100% Meunier dominant champagnes. Although not a very well-known grape across the world, Pinot Meunier is one of the most widely planted grapes within France. The grape is planted more liberally in the north, and that's probably due to its ability to bud and ripen a little more reliably than the Pinot Noir. But certainly over the last 100 years within the Champagne region, Pinot Meunier has been one of the most widely planted, accounting for almost 40% of the region's entire planting. So it certainly is a grape that needs some acknowledgement. It's most prevalent and most well grown in the cooler north-facing vineyards of the Vallée de la Marne, and it's also very widely grown in the Orbe region of the vineyards, where the Pinot Noir and the Chardonnay don't always ripen as perfectly. It's interesting to look at the name of Meunier. Over the last 5 years, I've noted since travelling to the region that the Pinot has officially been dropped off the title of the grape, so it's now referred to as Meunier alone, not Pinot Meunier. And the word Meunier comes from the French word miller, referring to the appearance of the grapes that have a coating of a dusty white powder like flour that coats the grapes and the leaves, making it quite easily identifiable in the vineyard. So some notable producers who are focusing in on the Meunier wines are Aigle Laurier, Françoise Bidel, Georges Leval, Michel Loriot, Jérôme Provost, Lahaye Ferrez, and most notably Krug, who's one of the most prestigious of all the champagne houses. And they've actually long championed the role of Pinot Meunier in their blended wines. In fact, Remy Krug, who's the former head of the house, once described the Pinot Meunier grape as being the unacknowledged grape. In an article with Eric Asimov, who interviewed winemaker Jérôme Provost back in 2012, he asked him why the Pinot Meunier has been relegated to this secondary status within Champagne. And Jérôme explained that any bias can actually be traced back as early as the 19th century. So legend has it that a certain Mr. Moet didn't want any Pinot Meunier being planted amongst his vines, a stance that's actually left a lasting impression amongst his peers. It should be noted, however, that Moet has not maintained this position. In fact, they do use a good amount of Meunier across all of their cuvées today, including their vintage wines. Mr. Provost suggests that this position of holding Meunier to be a less than noble grape is a lazy generic statement and is actually quite contradictory to the efforts of some dedicated vignerons who are actually making very bright, very aromatic and some noteworthy wines from this grape. So don't dismiss it. Don't dismiss this grape. Try and seek out a Meunier dominant champagne. And for more information on these wines, please don't hesitate to write to us at info@lbvchampagneclub.com. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.